Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Ajoe21love. Here at Sports Overview Topics, episode number 50. Episode number 50. Wow, I still can't believe 50 episodes in, but thank you all. Um, Today, I'll be talking about Vinatieri mostly. As those of you know, last week he called it quits, saying he's planning to retire on Pat McAfee's show. Former teammates over, I believe, 9 years. Yeah, either 9 or 8 years in Indianapolis. So he announced on their show, or his show, excuse me. I'll be talking about the Yankees a little bit. And I'll be talking about the NBA playoffs so far. So, again, thank you for joining me. If you're new to the podcast, like and subscribe. Click on the bell for all your notifications as far as reviews, as far as pro wrestling, sports overview topics, news, whichever you want to hear, as far as sports is concerned. Thank you. And thus, let's get into the news today, shall we? So, first, talk about Vinatieri. Vinatieri, as I mentioned just now, that he decided to call quits after 20 or so years, uh, over 20 years, I believe, in the NFL as a Patriot and as a Colt. He played in six Super Bowl, six, because he played in the Super Bowl versus Packers against Patriots, played against the Rams, Panthers, Eagles. Then he was cut after 05, and then they won the Super Bowl against the Bears, the Colts did, and then they played the Super Bowl versus the Saints. So 4 out of 6 championships. Good for him, Vinatieri. Of course, he'll be most known for his game winners in New England, whether it be the snowball game uh, versus the Raiders in the playoffs in 2001, where he had made not one but two generously long field goals in the snow uh, to advance the Patriots to face Pittsburgh and then to eventually win the Super Bowl against the Rams. That was what really helped Vinatieri guide around this legendary career. And then 2 years later, he kicked the game winner versus the Panthers in Super Bowl 38. And the following year against the Eagles in Super Bowl 39. I mean, just great play by Vinatieri for so long. And it's unfortunate now. I mean, he's 48 years old. So it's time. And Vinatieri calls it quits. Now, he struggled in 2019. Of course, he said there was an injury that affected him throughout the year. He was the same. He did kick game winner against the Broncos. However, there were notable times of slippage during that year and just time uh, for a great career coming to an end. And Of course, special teamers mostly don't make the Hall of Fame, but in this case, with Vinatieri, I think it's pretty self-explanatory with his track record that he'll be in Canton in 5 years, uh, which I thank you, Vinatieri, for all the moments with the Colts and the Patriots. Um, you know, just did it the right way. And now that Vinatieri is retired, Tom Brady, as a shocker, is now the oldest active player in the NFL, with Drew Brees retiring as well. The second oldest active player in the league is Dallas Cowboys long snapper LP LeCondor. I believe that's his name. Sorry if I butcher it, but he's 4 years old. Nonetheless, thank you, Vinatieri, for a great career. So, next, I want to talk about a little about the Yankees, and they once again take a little bit, or they hit a speed bump again in the way with Corey Kluber, their pitcher, is out for a month due to shoulder soreness or tightness, whichever you want to call it. But nonetheless, it's a blow again to the Yankees as they were doing well. They were a few games over 500. Now, once again, they are struggling. Now, again, a long ways to go still in the MLB season, but it just seems like now many teams are a roller coaster in the MLB season because you have your highs and your lows with just a long amount of season. But Yankees basically epitomize this season as being a roller coaster. You know, they're up, they're down, they're up, and they're down. Now they're down again. So it's unfortunate, but we'll see how it turns out with the Red Sox and the Devil Rays owning the top of that division. So next, gearing from that to talk about the NBA playoffs right now. So first off, the Milwaukee Bucks, they took care and avenged themselves against the Miami Heat from last year in the bubble. They swept the Miami Heat. The only sweep we saw in the first round. We thought perhaps that the Wizards were going to be swept, but they dug deep last night and forced Game 5 for Philadelphia 76ers, but no, they didn't. They dug deep, and we're going to get a Game 5 in a couple of days. But talking about the Milwaukee Bucks, they seem like a team that has something to prove. What I mean by that is, now, I admit I originally picked the Miami Heat to once again go over the Milwaukee Bucks because I thought that, like last year, it would just fit and Miami Heat would once again. Because for the last few years, we've been waiting and waiting with the Milwaukee Bucks. You know, they have Giannis, they have Middleton, they have a few pieces as well, but they have not been able to get the job done. You know, a couple years ago, they could not overcome Kawhi and the Raptors. Last year in the bubble, they were out in 5 against the Miami Heat, and they've overcome that. And now we just have to see with Milwaukee Bucks because assuming that the Brooklyn Nets win tonight, we're going to get the Brooklyn Nets versus the Milwaukee Bucks in the next round, and that will be a hell of a series. Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie, KD, Harden, Blake Griffin, against the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis, Middleton, Drew Holiday, Lopez. It's going to be an interesting series for sure. Now, the Bucks can overcome the Brooklyn Nets, although the Brooklyn Nets, for my money, seem like the team that is poised to win the NBA Finals with all their talent. The only thing that is stopping them is basically their health. That's the only thing. But nonetheless, with Milwaukee, you know, they have something to prove. The only case is, okay, with these new pieces and this new looking team, can they get it done? Because we've been waiting for Giannis to pull through, and we'll just have to see. Because there's also 76ers who, I mean, I talked about the nice win for the Washington Wizards last night, but that isn't going to last long. The Sixers are going to win the series, and it's going to be real tense with Milwaukee, Brooklyn, and Philadelphia. So, getting from that, well, also, since I'm talking about the East, I might as well talk about the Knicks and the Hawks. Last night, the Atlanta Hawks, they took a 3-1 series lead in the series against the New York Knicks. Now they go back to New York, the Garden, and should be rocking. And it's a must win for the New York Knicks. But in totality, no matter what happens, it's already been a win for the New York Knicks. Just getting to the playoffs and being a 4th seed, I'd say that was a win of the season. Now, of course, fans are going to be disgruntled. I want more, but patience. I mean, this team had not been to the playoffs in 8 years. Now they're in the playoffs, and just enjoy it for now. I get it. The Hawks, Trae Young has been on fire this whole series, you know, but Julius Randle has struggled. Now, I have been a big advocate for Julius Randle to get more love for MVP voting with his performance in the regular season. He has to show up if the New York Knicks have any hope at regaining the series and possibly moving past the Atlanta Hawks. Because Derrick Rose has simply been the only guy that showed up for the Knicks constantly this season. RJ Barrett, he's kind of disappointed. Elijah Payton, he's disappointed as well. They got to dig deep like the Wizards did last night against Philadelphia if they're going to have any chance at winning the series. Now that I talked about the East, I want to talk about the West. Because it's only fair. So at the top, the Utah Jazz, the team with the best record in the regular season. They are up 3-1, have won 3 straight against the Memphis Grizzlies after losing Game 1, a competitive Game 1 to the Grizzlies without Donovan Mitchell. Now 3 games back. Yes, his minutes have been managed, which has been reasonable due to his ankle injury, but nonetheless, the Jazz have shown why they were the top team in the West and best record in the NBA over the last 3 games. Bogdanovich has showed up. Gobert showed why he could be the defensive player of the year again. Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley has said, well, Jordan Clarkson had a real good game yesterday. And he's deserving of the 6th Man of the Year award. So that will be very interesting to see them face the winner of either the Clippers or the Mavericks. Is going to be a sight to see. Now that I just talked about the Jazz and Grizzlies, I might as well talk about it. The series of the team they're going to face next. The Clippers and the Mavericks. My oh my, has this series changed. The Dallas Mavericks, they start off 2-0. Luka was playing well. Porzingis, he was doing well. Not as well as Luka, but was viable. And then Hardaway was making shots. And they were up 2-0. There was questions about the toughness of the Clippers. Do they have the right coaching? Do they have the mental fortitude? Or intentional fortitude, to come back from the series. And in Game 3 and Game 4, they have shown that they're still here and their talent will not go down without a fight. Now they're up the series is tied 2 apiece. And it's going to be a real question because Luka said his neck is feeling better. Well, it has to. Otherwise, over the next 2 games, it's going to be a real problem for the Dallas Mavericks. So, we'll see. And can Kawhi, and Paul George keep up this pace, because Paul George has that reputation of squandering in playoffs. Can he still overcome that? Keep this pace that he set the last two games and propel the Clippers to the second round. We'll see. Now I'll talk about the Lakers and talk about momentum shift. Lakers and the Suns. The 2 seed Suns versus the 7 seed Lakers. So the top priority and the top story of this whole series has been health, pretty much. Coming to this series, because game one, the Suns took Chris Paul. He got his finger, but still played limited minutes throughout the game. And then ultimately they took game one. Then the next two games, Anthony Davis, who was on fire, and there were questions about Chris Paul's health. And it seemed like the Lakers are going to run away with the series. Now game four happens, and Anthony Davis, this is basically the reason why I took the Suns. Because the injuries of Anthony Davis and LeBron James has just affected this Laker team, and they're not who they were last year in the bubble, and it's just once again another injury has struck. Anthony Davis strains his groin, and if he's not able to continue the rest of the series, you gotta believe that the Suns have a real chance of taking it and moving to the next round. So we'll see what LeBron James, KCP, Kyle Kuzma, Dan Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell, who I hope is out of the doghouse. I mean, he was basically sitting the whole game, the majority of the game, and I'm just like confused. But we'll see what the Lakers can do now without Anthony Davis. It's a real question. Then last, but certainly not least, the Nuggets and the Trailblazers. The Nuggets and the Trailblazers, two apiece. I mean, this has been arguably the most entertaining series. I mean, I know the Knicks and the Hawks and the Suns and the Lakers, but this is arguably the best series of in the first round, considering all the intangibles going into it. The Trailblazers took game one in pretty much decisive fashion. The second game, the Nuggets took it home. Then the Nuggets went up 2-1 in game three. And then all of a sudden, the Trailblazers come firing back in game four to tie up. I'm just really intrigued because Jokic is the MVP, presumably, and it's going to be a real test. Jokic first game time, which is going to prevail. And Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., CJ McCollum, Carmelo Anthony, these secondary pieces of each side have got to step up. Which secondary pieces will step up is the better question. I don't know, but see, if Jamal Murray did get injured, we could be talking about the Nuggets as coming out of the West. But I'm just curious how far Jokic can take them. And, how far is Dame Time willing to go? Damian Lillard. We'll have to see. Game 5 tonight, but it should be interesting. Well, guys, okay, that was all I have for the episode today. Thank you for joining me. Going to talk about the NBA playoffs, the Yankees, and Vinatieri. Nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoy it. I know I did. Like and subscribe. You know the drill. Hope you all being safe. Hope you all had good Memorial Day weekend. Peace, and see you on Saturday, because once again, AEW Dynamite is being preempted due to the NBA playoffs. So, no AEW review on Thursday. It'll be on Saturday. You know the drill. Peace and thank you.